So welcome back to DecoyNoise and a very special episode of Am I the Antagonist? And am I the antagonist for not wanting my dad to walk me down the aisle because he's in a wheelchair? So as always, make sure you subscribe down below with the notifications on so twice a day I can remind you with no matter what craziness is going out in the world, you get to just unplug, relax, and unwind watching some online stranger drama because that's always fun, right? So OP wrote, about 3 years ago, my dad was injured in a really bad hit-and-run car accident. He broke just about every bone in his body and left him paralyzed from the waist down. Our relationship has always been really good, but I hate seeing him in pain and admittedly try to avoid seeing him because it just makes me uncomfortable. In November, I'm getting married. I've been with my fiance for 4 years, and he and my dad get along really well. Naturally, the discussion of who is going to give me away came up in the family group chat, and I kept silent after I realized my dad would be in a wheelchair. We always talked about him giving me away and having a dance at my wedding, and I don't want to be reminded of what could have been at my wedding. I messaged my mom privately and told her I want my uncle to walk me down the aisle as we're incredibly close. She naturally asked why, and I told her that my dad being in a wheelchair would add complications to the wedding. The walkway would have to be widened to accommodate his wheelchair, and he wouldn't be able to hold my arm or give me a proper hug. She was outraged. She called me an ableist piece of crap and removed me from the group chat. My aunt has since called telling me my dad is absolutely devastated. Am I the antagonist? So as always, we got to take the case straight over to Decoy Court, where we're not qualified to take this case whatsoever, but we're still going to take a crack at it. Make sure that you stick around for the top comments and the controversial comments. Then I'll read your comments down below as well. But let's go ahead and just say the word of the day is fairy tale, which I'd say Exhibit A would be, I understand many girls dream, then fantasize about their ideal fairy tale wedding, and they see everything from Disney movies with extravagant princesses getting married to the prince to Wedding Crashers, where it's just equally $1 million weddings, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just unfortunately not everyone gets that. It's just this is OP trying to figure out what's more important to her fairy tale dream wedding or her family, because she apparently can't have both with this ideal wedding that she has. Which brings us over to, I'm saying, Exhibit B, which is, I'm sure OP's father isn't living his fairy tale ending either, He got dealt a horrible hand, and now he's just learning how to deal with it. I'm sure when OP was born, the father was envisioning, her first birthday, her first car, graduation, and eventually walking her down the aisle to give her away. And I understand this is OP's special day, but it's just as much his special day as it is hers. And the idea, just because the father faced hardship doesn't mean he's not worthy of having his special moment anymore. So obviously we gotta judge OP, and this one's clear cut. I typically try to give the decoy defense, but I can't. So you're the antagonist just because of obvious reasons. I'm sorry you're not Kim Kardashian. I'm sorry you can't Photoshop your father's injuries away. And moreover, I'm just sorry for OP. The idea that OP's life won't be perfect, and at some point in time, when she's facing similar hardships, she's going to look to those same people that she shunned for being injured, and at that point she's not going to have them because the damage has already been done. But as always, don't be damaged, and make sure you subscribe to DecoyNoise. That's a very inappropriate segue into subscribing to me, but that's what you come here for, because we're not serious about anything. It's always just silly stuff. But as always, we'll take a short break, leave your comments down below, we'll talk about it, then we'll read the top and controversial comments, and maybe it changes our mind. But as always, these crazy posts get locked by the moderator. But let's go ahead and see the first top comment, which got those flame emojis and the on fire comment because they were going to shame the daughter, obviously. So they wrote, "You're the antagonist. What an awful daughter. You avoid him because it's hard on you? What about him? Now you don't want to accommodate him to walk you down the aisle? God, you should be ashamed of yourself. Your fiance should take a long look at who he is marrying." Which I typically don't like when they pile on OP and everybody's gonna get those porch and oh god. For how many times I say that phrase, you think I'd have it right. Like the decoy koi coin is something I could say now. Torch and pitchforks, I'll get that down eventually. But the idea that, yes, the whole he should take a look at who he's marrying, and the idea is, now you don't deserve love, and now you get a divorce because I don't like the way you're posting on this thread. But it is true, the idea that the husband should think about things where if he's not the ideal, 6'5", chiseled jaw, quarterback looking dude, and all of a sudden she's like, now I can't have my fairy tale wedding, and now you've lost a leg due to an accident, so I can't even look at my husband anymore because he's not what I envisioned originally. Like, he's really got to think about things and say, hey, so it's very conditional. Like, she's willing to shun her own father because he was in a car accident. That's terrible. But let's go ahead and read the reply to that, because that also got gold. Everybody's getting money off this. So they say, also, do you know how many brides don't have their dad because they're dead or deadbeats? You should consider yourself lucky to have one. And here's the idea is there's really amazing ways around this. I've seen it before where it's just a feel-good video on Facebook, but the idea that there was a guy that I think he went away, I'm getting this wrong, but he was disabled, like paralyzed, and then for their first dance between the husband and the wife, he had his best man and all his groomsmen like hold his arms up and put them around the girl, and they let them have their first dance the way it was, and it was like, you know, a tear-jerking moment where it's all the more better. And it's like the idea that, let's say, because the father helped the daughter, OP in the case, you know, get through life and get her all the way, just raise her right and help her take her first steps, that she just physically carries her father down the aisle. No need for that extra space because, you know, the chapel can't move the chairs or whatever it may be. She had an opportunity to make this an amazing moment, and then she just turned around and said, nah, but Kim Kardashian didn't have that at her wedding, so I can't either. But the next top reply also got some diamond, got some flame emojis, some gold, and a wagging of the finger, I'm guessing, but the reply says, I didn't need to read your post before saying to myself, yup, you're the antagonist. Then I actually read your post about how you're avoiding your father because his disability makes you uncomfortable, and about how your concerns for your wedding are so effing petty. I've revised my previous position. You're the antagonist, but not just that. You're one of the biggest effing antagonists I've seen in this sub. If I was related to you, I'd be ashamed. And if I was your fiance, I'd take that as a sign as our wedding vows would only be good until I got in an accident or got disabled. Then I could bet on you abandoning me because you're shallowness. You deserve all the crap you're gonna get from this post. And here's the thing, there's the flame emojis, is I agree with all the things say, like, oh yeah, you're gonna deserve all these things you're getting, but the idea is you always want, I guess, Decoy Court's about rehabilitation. Yes, you could be the antagonist, yes, you could be the bad person, but eventually we want you to see the light at the end of the tunnel where you see all this negative feedback and you say, wow, I was a terrible person. Like, maybe she was just so wrapped up and stressed out from all the things going on in her life and all the wedding planning and just devastated about the situation that she made a bad judgment call, and she can change her mind. The simple fact that she's not willing to visit her father because it's hard on her, even though he went through great tragedy, tells you all you need about him, but all you need to know about him. But I'm willing to bet OP's not just getting wagging of the finger and bad comments. They're getting very, very nasty things in their DMs and in their inbox or their private messages. So I don't think they deserve that, but you know, people just love to see that type of online justice. But the next reply is saying, the vows are in sickness and in health, and until death to us part. There's no stipulations. What happens if her fiance got sick, like cancer, or had a stroke and was disabled, or something similar that happened to her dad that happens to be your husband? Is she going to leave him, divorce him because he's no longer her version of perfect? Jesus effing Christ. Her fiance needs to run for the hills. Bet she's probably one of those brides who has been planning for a perfect day, but has no thought of marriage with one person for the next 40 to 60 years, and all the things that will come with it. So here we got more of that, you know, the decoy defense is, why are you just all of a sudden filling in the blanks? Like, she's a bad person in this one very specific facet. Let's just throw it all out. Everything's terrible by the person. You don't know. You don't know if she's giving to, I don't know, the charities out there, the Red Cross $1 million every year. You just don't know that. So you got to say, oh yeah, you're not ready for marriage at 40 to 60 years. Maybe all it's gonna do is take a humbling moment where she's in a bad accident where she doesn't get anything long-term injured, but she realizes, like, you know, the error in her ways or something like that. You just hope that she can turn it around and not be a terrible person, because at some point in time, something will probably happen to her that she is not at fault for, and she'll turn to her father and say, hey, help me out with this. You would think, because she said that she loved her father before this, so it's really hard to defend this person, but I really try. The next top comment says, you're the antagonist. It takes a really special kind of antagonist to turn someone else's paralysis into a pity me situation. Yeah, that's true. That's true. And the next reply is YH. I don't know. I'd say this is narcissistic behavior, which is true. It's just somebody that can't see beyond their own perspective. But the next reply is saying, you're the antagonist. Excluding him from this moment would be an incredibly hurtful and selfish thing to do, and that's a level of hurt that a family may never recover from. And they recorded the idea where the aunt shamed him. You need to make a phone call to your dad, and you need to make it now. Apologize and grovel and do whatever it is you need to convince your dad that you just had a momentary lapse in sanity and don't know what you're even thinking. That was cold. And here's the idea that they probably could demolished the family right there. The idea that she expects the father to sit on the sidelines, can't even be in the regular section because of his disability, and say, oh, yep, that's my daughter being handed off by my brother. Oh, that's my daughter getting that father-daughter dance because I was in an injury and just nothing I can do about it. Like, that's going to devastate probably everybody in the family on probably both sides, because everybody kind of should have empathy for the father and just not want to attend this celebration of exclusion. The idea that what could she do to make this right is she could probably, you know, crying tears saying, sorry, Dad, like, I really haven't processed your injury, and it's hard for me to see you that way, and I just keep on thinking that, you know, one day you're just gonna walk through the door again. Just really pour it on just, she messed up, wow, please forgive me. And the father's probably gonna forgive her because of the daughter, and just know she has some growing up to do, and hopefully that would be the case where she can just finally see the error in her ways, make some apologies. But as always, the top comments are for perspective. Hopefully in the controversial comment we can just see someone that's not blasting on OP, but I'm willing to bet, I don't know what I'm willing to bet, the idea that there's no one in this controversial section that's going to back her up. But let's go ahead and read the top controversial comment because everything got locked. Oh my god, wait. No, I am wrong. Here we go. The top controversial comment is not the antagonist. Your father must be somehow responsible for raising an awful person like you, so this is his retribution. Yeah, I mean, I wish I was that witty to think of that from the get-go, but it is true. Like, how did she turn out like that? I mean, some people are just inherently evil, bad people, which kind of OP's kind of a bad person right now, but I think that this is funny over here. It did get upvotes, but it was controversial because it really isn't beneficial to the conversation. But the idea where, you know, that's probably what OP is sitting there thinking, like, wow, that is a good tip. I'm going to put that down. Like, my dad made me the way I am, so obviously I'm going to be a bad person. Just look at him. So, terrible things, but I really appreciate that somebody did what Decoy Defense couldn't do and made this person seem like not as bad of a person. But the next reply is saying, what an interesting take. Holy crap. And yes, holy crap, that was an interesting take of the idea where, you know, you blame it on him. So, let's go ahead and see the next top controversial reply saying, is the tradition extremely maybe dated? Yes. Is it extremely sexist? Yes again. Are you an ableist for breaking said tradition only because your dad's in a wheelchair and nothing else? F yes, you are. So I don't really get what they're saying. They're trying to push some weird, you know, I think that this is sexist, so let me just interject this to make you feel better about you doing a terrible thing. Like, I don't even know where that's coming from. But let's go ahead and read the next controversial reply saying, everyone sucks here. You for being a horrible person, and your parents for raising such a horrible person. So here's the thing, is they got negative 115 votes. I understand that this is not valid, but I mean, I like that they're swinging for the fences. Like, I mean, sometimes when we read these cases, we just want to be the defense attorney for OP and just give them good advice as if we were only on their side. Like, everybody else, we just want to support them, and you got to figure out creative ways. And that's the thing, is if we were the defense attorney for OP, we would have been like, okay, how do we, like, you know, how do we mentally prepare ourselves to defend you in court? And that's the only way, is like, oh, well, this is your father's fault somehow. Let's go ahead and see the next top controversial reply that says, everyone sucks here except your dad. The other commenters can speak to your role in this mess. However, I voted everyone sucks here because your mom should have kept this to herself. I think it was wrong of her to call everyone and tell them. It sounded like that's what happened. She created a lot of drama by doing this and could have spared your dad some embarrassment. This should have been between you and your dad. If you decided to walk down the aisle with alone with some of the drama, it might have been avoided. So that's heavily downvoted, negative 223 votes, which, how do you even get to negative 223 votes? Because once you get to negative 10, you start to get pushed to the bottom. But the idea is they got heavily downvoted. But I mean, I get that, though. The idea that the daughter's wrong. Yes, we never said that she was right. She's wrong. But the mother should have kept that to herself and had a very stern discussion with her daughter saying, you don't want to do this. Here's all the backlash. Here's all the problems that you're having. But by introducing it to everybody else, now we're creating bigger problems. Like, it should have been discussion between the two of them and then tried to fix it before going nuclear, because with information like that, you already know wholeheartedly this is not going well for the OP. So I get why they say everyone sucks here. Not everyone sucks here. Maybe just OP and the mom that probably should have said, hey, knock it off. I'm still your mother. I can still ground you because you're not married yet, or something like that. But just the idea that hopefully the better way to go about it would have been just keep it to yourself until absolutely the daughter shoots herself in the foot and says to everybody, oh, I want uncle, not daughter. I mean, I want uncle, not father. maybe this could have been avoided if they just told her the error in her ways, we'll pay the extra money for this or that or whatever, you're still a jerk. But yeah, that got out of hand real quick. So the next reply to that saying, I agree regarding the mom. If I was that mom, I worked really hard to convince OP to change her mind and not address it with the husband until much later. And here's the thing, is this is all perfect universe, but I'm sure if I was the mom and I was married to someone that went through hardship and then you had your daughter coming out of nowhere saying like, no, F all that, my father, let me add insult to injury with the whole situation. So I probably would have done the same thing in the mom's perspective. But let's go ahead and read one more controversial comment saying, have you thought about what your dad wants? People are saying you're the antagonist, and I'm inclined to agree, but I get where you're coming from. This may mean the world to him. Yes, he can't walk, but there are other accommodations that can be made. Before you decided that you don't want him to because it may cause complications, find out what he wants. And here's the idea, is if we just really try to make OP innocent in the situation where she's just like, well, I didn't want to embarrass him with not being able to go down the aisle, and I don't want to embarrass him with the first dance, and I know it's going to be hard for him, so she's just thinking in his best interest, which she's not, because she's just totally selfish. But the idea that, you know, she should have had the conversation with him just regarding, like, you know, the complications that are going to be involved with him walking down the aisle, they probably would have said, no matter what, I'm going to do it. If it takes, you know, bionic legs, or, you know, hitting up Elon Musk to give him the Tesla legs or whatever. I'm just making stuff up right now, but you know how it is. We're just trying to have a good time, even though craziness is happening on the post and in real world. So subscribe if you like this type of chatter. But, you know, we really tried to defend OP as best we could with the decoy defense. Didn't have a really good take at it, but I mean, as always, earn the Decoy coin down below by giving me your feedback and possibly having a better defense for OP. I'm not sure that's possible, but as always, if you made it this far in the video, I want to say I appreciate you hanging out with me as long as you did, watching all the content. Go to the DecoyNoise.com/donate if you would like to support the channel with Patreon or Ko-Fi, but if nothing else, put the channel on autoplay and watch the next Decoy Noise coming up next.